What's up, guys? Welcome to Tailboard Talk. This week we're going to talk about training or working out in your fire gear. This is not the video I had planned. I actually thought about taking a week off of this because we were up at the lake having kind of a nice weekend. And then I got on social media, right? Cause of all our problems. I saw somebody doing a workout in fire gear and it was ugly, okay? But that's the kind of stuff that people like to see. So it was getting all kinds of engagement, all kinds of support. And the fact that he's working out should receive all the support in the world. The way he was working out with his fire gear on is not the best thing to do. Overall and in general, I am against working out in fire gear. We're going to go into that now for just a second. So Tailboard Talk, here we go. Got the baby Nathan gratuitous onesie on. All good. So, working out in fire gear, against it. And here's why. I'm coming from a place of experience on this from an educator, from a previously injured person, both shoulder and back, with the company I do now as a coach, and also as a member of the championship Firefighter Combat Challenge team, the Grand National Championship team in 2012, where we did 13 events all over the country and got the most points over the season total, so we won that Grand National Championship kind of thing. Woo. I did a lot of training in and out of fire gear, and I got a really good feel for what it does and what it doesn't do. Okay, so the first thing it doesn't do, it does not help your body move any better. It makes stuff harder and makes stuff more difficult, but at the sake of range of motion. That's why it makes it more difficult. So, if we look at a popular graphic I use in almost all of my presentations, it's the stable and mobile joints of the body. It goes into what areas of your body are supposed to move the best and what areas of your body are supposed to have the most stability. And when we put on fire gear, we take it and we flip it backwards. So, your ankles, your hips, your thoracic spine, and your shoulders are supposed to have the most mobility. They're supposed to move the most normally, okay? Now, as we grow up and we go from floppy baby Nathan to beaten up and something hurts all the time adult, those things that are supposed to move really well all the time don't move so great in general. So we have an inherent restriction going on. When you put on fire gear, it makes those restrictions even worse. So it ties up your ankles with the leather boots. It ties up your hips with your, if you wear a belt or suspenders or your air pack or whatever. All of that material going over that big hinge joint or that big hip joint ties it all up. It ties up your shoulders and your thoracic spine by wearing your pack and your jacket because you don't have a full range of motion. Here's the trick. When those joints can't move, they ask the joints surrounding it to pick up the slack. So the worst case scenario is since your hips and your thoracic spine can't move, your hips down here, your T-spine up here, it asks this area, which would be your low back, to do all the heavy lifting. That is a recipe for disaster. And that is what we see a lot of when people work out in their fire gear. Okay? So it takes your already limited range of motion and it makes it so much worse. And you can see this with people when they squat. If they do that little butt wink thing, their hips roll underneath. If they're wearing fire gear, that's because their hips stop moving and then their lower back rounds to do the movement. If they're pressing overhead and they can't push their arm all the way up and they stop here and kind of lean back, it's because you have this big wedge in your shoulder and it's putting almost like a pencil in a door and cracking that thing. You're putting all this material in the way of what should be able to move and you're jamming it up so it goes to there and doesn't look good. These are all things that will get you an injury. I know, eventually. Okay. Now, I took the poll on Instagram and I asked if you work on fire gear and why if you do. And I got some good responses to it. And that's going to be part 2 of this thing. So, first things first, I want you guys to know that working out in gear, unless you're doing farmer's carries, maybe some, I'm just going to stop it there. Unless you're doing farmer's carries, is a higher risk than reward scenario you're entering into, okay? And if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, besides fitness and bettering yourself, then we have a real big problem. And actually get into those things during part 2. Are you excited for that? For part 2? Rock and roll. All right, we'll see you in part 2 where I answer those responses to do you work out in fire gear and why? Be a force shifter.